So one of the things that Dr. Cordero talked about this morning was, what are your qualifications to speak? I am an instructor at Sherman College of Chiropractic. That's impressive, but I did grow up, actually, and I lived down there. I've lived in the South 22 years or so. I grew up exit 172. I went to high school at exit 105, and I know that it's pork roll, not Taylor ham. If that doesn't make me qualified, I don't know what else does. So as Jim had asked to speak, well, what do you want to speak about? Speak about philosophy. So that's fine, a small subject. And what do you want me to talk about? Well, go to Haiti. Okay, so I go to Haiti, and he says it'll show up. It'll just show up, and you know what to speak, you know what to speak, you know what to speak. So I had the opportunity to talk with some students, and it wouldn't matter what school they're from. I think it would have been the same. And the word that's on the screen, and I'll ask you the question I asked them. Who in here is going to be, if you're a student, or is a principal chiropractor? Yell and scream. So, yell and scream, who here has the principles memorized? Yeah, number 6. Right. If you take a little more time, you might have the principles memorized. Right? And so, if we're principled, what's the principle? Thank you. Good night. But so, and I'm going to be the first one to tell you, I teach a class called the 33 Principles, and I don't have them memorized either. And I started saying, and a great question, is Skip George in here? Is he still here? Did he leave? The Green Book study was fabulous. It was fabulous. And if you didn't go, please go the next time we have it. Give him a hand, please. It was really good. Because this kind of ties into that a little bit, that do we really know what we say we know? And what does doctor mean? To teach. So what are we teaching them? What is the principle? All right, the law of life. What does that mean? So can we go to, starting with principle 1 and go through principle 33, why don't we teach our patients that? I mean, A, would that be 33 days of patient education? So at least you got a 33-day visit care plan right there. Because they've got to hear the whole story. If we're going to tell the story, we've got to tell the whole story. And it was kind of striking to talk to the students about it, because that was indictment on myself. Because as I was listening to them talk while they were in Haiti, I was like, gosh, I teach the principles and I don't know them. I can talk about any one of them. But if somebody said, I don't know, well, everyone knows 6, you know that one. But if you 17, 26, 4, 5, whatever they are, I'd have to, I've got to think about it really, really hard. But that's our law of life, is those principles. We'll talk about ADIO, above, down, inside, out. That's really like 33. So that's the law of demand and supply. Body needs something, innate's going to give it. So that's above, down, inside, out. But what about those other 32? And then what do we say usually? Oh, our patients wouldn't understand it. Who are we to judge that they would never understand it? Is it that the patients don't understand it, or as we as chiropractors, do we actually understand them? And do we understand them to the point that we can deliver it to our patients? And so I have the word principle. Well, then what does that mean chiropractically? And here's the thing, is the most mixery of mixers, do they have a set of principles? Does the person write, oh, the MDs, and they vaccinate and they drugs, do they have a set of principles? So for us to just say principled, so what? What are the principles that we adhere to? Do we know them really well enough? Who here has ever heard, when you ask, this is chiropractic, and then somebody might retort, oh, that's your version of it, this is mine. Has anybody ever heard that? Why is that? Or have we heard, oh, I'm a subluxation-based chiropractor, or I'm a subluxation-centered chiropractor? When we say based or centered or focused, does that open it up that there's other things going on? That you can add other, as long as I'm subluxation-focused, I could do whatever thing I feel is right that goes within that. And does that confuse the public a little bit? And I think it's not allopathy. Why do they keep going back to the vaccines and all that stuff? At the very least, they have a clear message. At the very least, they have a clear message. And I think if we get into the principles more and more, and we know them so well that we can just spit them off, that when Skip does the next book study, we don't have to discuss what the principles are. We can just actually discuss what they mean in life. How much richer would the Green Book study be then if we could do it? Because we're robbing our patients really of chiropractic. I think it could be a whole lot deeper. That's going to give us the cultural authority because they're going to need to have it. Is anybody in here say the principles are not truth? They're truth. Are we better than our patients just because we sat in chiropractic school? Not at all. If we got it, they'll get it. They'll get it. We just have to tell them. And so what is it chiropractic? What do those principles go? Because I think Dr. Salinas said, well, this is maybe not the chiropractic view. The principles aren't chiropractic. The principles are universal. The universal life. It's everything. So we don't own them, believe it or not. We're actually the only ones that kind of adhere to them. Although I don't know if we do, if we don't know what they are. And so with this word principle, a rule or belief governing one's personal behavior. Well, what's that personal behavior going to be for chiropractic? And I got this. There's a guy around Sherman College named Tom Gilardi. I don't know if you've heard of him. But he's kind enough to come into school. And this really kind of cleared things up. As a profession, is there a danger we could get absorbed by medicine? And why would that be? Because we're kind of on that way. Do we do things, and by we, the profession as a whole, do we do things in our practices that could be construed the same as something else? Maybe we do a massage or offer massage. Do we offer nutrition? Do we offer whatever it is? And it's not about good or bad. It's just about is or isn't, is what I would ask. And so as he talks about it, in order for us to be a profession and remain a profession, we have to be a group of people engaged in a common calling, usually requiring long and intensive training. Students, is it long and intensive training? A little bit. So what is our common calling? This is the part you answer back. All right, connect people to their source. Can I do that in church? Well, I didn't say the same way, but can I do it? Okay. So would that be different? Does that really differentiate us from the church? Not so much. It's different methods. And so, it's supposed to go that way. So the central area of interest then is going to be the basis for our profession, for our philosophy, art, and science, and our research. So what is it that's one thing? Is it better to have 50 things to concentrate on or one thing? Right, I can't chew gum. I can't find my keys every day. My wife's here, she'll tell you. So what is it leading the research, teaching, and practice? And this one thing, let's talk about it. So all professions are going to be identified by their central area of interest. So symptoms and disease. Is there a profession out there that works with symptoms and disease? Is there a profession out there that has conditions affecting the oral cavities? All right. Is there a profession out there that builds engines, machines, structures, whatever it is? Is there a profession out there that applies a system of laws to human behavior? And then how about a profession out there that adjusts something called the vertebral subluxation? How many of them are out there? One. Right? And keeping financial accounts. So that's the central area of interest. So connecting to source, that's a result of adjusting the vertebral subluxation. Improved health, that's a result of vertebral subluxation. Better wellness, improved due to the vertebral subluxation and getting rid of it. So your central area of interest, therefore, has to be appropriately defined. And so, right, does anybody use that if you say, why are you a chiropractor? Does anybody ever use those words? Maybe. Or versions of them. I want to do good, I want to create a better world, I want to improve health. Do other professions do that? Yeah, so it's too general. So we have to come up with something a little different. However, there we go. So fix teeth, right? Who's that? Dentistry. So fix minds, who's that? We'd probably even say it was us. But truthfully, it's them. It's really us. But design tall buildings, right? You got your architects, your engineers. And who adjusts subluxations and specifically vertebral subluxations. So we should stand by that. I asked in a communications class, what's the one word defining our profession? And only, I don't know, there was 5 or 6 groups about 3 or 4. And only once did they actually say vertebral subluxation. And I don't know, I mean, are we failing as a school? Maybe a little bit. And so let's try to look at that. But it's the vertebral subluxation. That's our thing. That's the thing that nobody else can touch other than us. And if we really worked with that vertebral subluxation, think about where the world's going to go. Think about where the world's going to go. Those are well-defined central ideas. So this is Ayn Rand. Nothing can be reasonable or beautiful unless it's made by one central idea. And the idea sets every detail. So if we say that our central idea is vertebral subluxation, everything we do has to center around that. Our philosophy's got to ask every why about that. Our science is going to say, why does it appear maybe? And then our science is going to say, how do we get rid of it? Type of thing. And then, of course, the how is how artistically we can do it. A profession is alive like a man. Its integrity is to follow its own truth, its one single theme, and to serve its own single purpose. Keep it singular. If we keep it just singular and focused in vertebral subluxation, if it is indeed truth, and the 33 principles do back it up, think of where we could go with that. That's going to give us the cultural authority. I don't think medicine's holding us back. I don't think the public's lack of comprehension is holding us back. I think we're holding us back because we need to raise up our game big time, big time. My daughter's 20 years old. She's at Western Carolina. She's a soccer player. Her goal was to play Division I soccer. She's this tall, she's a goalkeeper, and one of the things they said, well, you're never going to play Division I soccer. That's all she heard. Well, she got a deal with Western Carolina. She is playing Division I soccer, and she played, so far in 2 years, she played one half of one game. And so this past weekend, we had thought she was number 2, but she ended up being number 3, and she didn't know why it happened. And she's just like, but Dad, I just want to play. Right? I just want to take care of my patients. That's all I want to do. I just want to take care of him. And I said, so what? That you want to play? See, if she has a character flaw, her entire life she's gotten straight A's. And I say that's a flaw because in the Pickens, South Carolina school system, you get a 94, you get an A. So she's pretty good. And has anybody in here seen a result due to the adjustments they've given their patients? We've done pretty good. So we've done, I think, A work. But what she did in high school, she gave A work. And it was like, well, Sarah, why don't you give 100% A+ work? That's harder. That's harder. But think of how much further she would be. And I think that's what her coach is asking for. I think she gives A work in practice, but the coach is wanting more. And what if we gave more as a profession? What if we gave more to these principles that we actually knew these things we say we're talking about? And we're able to take it a whole richer conversation. What if? So we have these 33. Now, so I would suggest, one of my favorite quotes of the weekend came early in Dr. George's study. We've got a lot of studying to do. And I'm the first person to tell you I have a lot of studying to do. And my goal is going to be when I come back, I'll have it memorized. And I'll remember, you name me the number, I'm going to tell you what it is. I'm also going to tell you what it means. Think if we all did that as a profession in this room, where that study would go. So one of my favorite ones is Principle 26. So we have this thing called the cycle of life. So universal forces are necessarily destructive, and then innate forces are constructive. Now, who here has ever had the opinion, we have to do a That's what Jim gets for putting me in this spot. But who here has thought we have a little bit of a medical education in chiropractic? I mean, show of hands. Why do we do the things that we do? And part of it, for people that went to Sherman College, we look at our things, you know, what causes subluxation, right? Thoughts, traumas, and toxins. So can we take the thoughts, traumas, and toxins? Does a long case history ever talk about those things? So on your case history, does it say, do we talk about falls? and all those things. So then we say to our patient, here's why you're in my office. Take this thing. We say, oh, this is really medical. It's not medical. It's just information. And say, these are thoughts, traumas, and toxins. But the problem is we put a switch on the information. And we kind of make it fit our preconceived ideas a little bit. And I'm going to go to that. What's the answer to that? Oh, that's your answer to mathematics. Let me tell you about my answer to mathematics. All right, so does 7 go into 2? No, 7 doesn't go into 2, so let's move it over. Because these are my rules. This is how I do mathematics. So does 7 go into 8? All right, 7 goes into 8 once, right? Now, so we got 1. What's 8 minus 7? Does 7 go into 1? Of course not, but we got the 2 over there, so let's move it back over. How many times does 7 go into 21? So obviously the answer of 7 into 28 is 13. Oh, but that's just crazy. Way. So 13 times 7, what's the answer? No, come on, that's what you think. What's 7 times 3? What's 7 times 1? Add them together. 28. 28. See, you guys, that's just the way you do math. Right? So let's do it one more time. Do it together with me. 3. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. I don't teach math at Sherman College. But have I created a little bit of doubt already? Is there logic there? I'm not saying correct, but is there logic there? And all we did, what did we do to start this process? To start this one, right? Where does it go back? I just moved the 2 over. One little thing, and look how it affected everything else behind it. Because the problem is with our logic and the principles, if we're not studying them as much as possible, and we're just moving the 2 of the principles over, the profession we're leaving to our students is a big pile of 2. You know what I mean? So my call and my challenge to you is who's willing to rise up, right? The walk-up song, which I'm like, Jim, what walk-up song should I use? Don't worry about it. So just start me up. Who's going to start learning the principles today? Who's going to start learning them tomorrow, and who's going to start practicing them so that the next time we get together, we are going to blow the doors off of Skip George's Green Book study. So if you're going to do it, let me hear you that you're going to do it. I will commit to you if you will commit to me. Thank you very much.
Brandy! Never stop.